Hi. I want to talk a little bit today about the idea of stepping into your calling. And the reason why I want to talk about this is I think a lot of people right now are being asked to do just that. And I think that there's a lot of resistance that shows up in us when we sense that awareness, when we have that little flicker of knowing or that nudge, feel that nudge at a soul level. There's a lot of inner conflict that shows up. And so I want to talk about that today. But first, I want to address the fact that if you clicked on this video, in my mind, at least a small part of you is aware that this applies to you. Okay? So hear this out all the way till the end and just see how it sits on you, okay? And maybe even moving forward, keep an open heart and an open soul to the idea that this might apply to you. And even if you find that when you see someone else starting to step into their calling, if it lights something up in you, if it even agitates you or brings you if it creates an inner reaction, I want you to sit with that if you can and really ask yourself if part of this reaction is showing up because that person is holding a mirror to something in you that knows that it applies to you in your path as well. Whatever that means in your case, it doesn't mean that you have to be showing up in exactly the way the other person is, but it does mean perhaps that there's a knowing inside of you that you're being asked to step into your calling too. Okay, so I want to really emphasize that in my mind, a missing piece when it comes to encouraging all of us to step into our calling is the need to address the nervous system. It is scary. It is challenging on a nervous system level to really step forward in that way. It is not just heart on the sleeve, it's heart and soul on the sleeve. It's it's um it's showing up in a brand new way in a world that doesn't like when you show up in a brand new way. It's facing the judgments of others. There's a lot about it that does require nervous system work. And if we're going to do it, and we need all of us who feel compelled to do it, then it requires that we really meet ourselves in a powerful way when it comes to our nervous system. So I want to emphasize that the goal when it comes to this work with the nervous system is not nervous system regulation. It's not regulation or control of the nervous system. It's it's incorporating and building a nervous system response that's flexible. Flexibility is the key, not control. Because the thing is that life is going to happen. And even when it comes to stepping into your calling, judgments are going to come. Resistance is going to show up inside and outside. A lot of different things will trigger the nervous system. It's not supposed to not trigger your nervous system. But what we would be encouraged to do is over time to develop a nervous system that can take those hits and really come back and come back again and again and again. And that requires resilience and flexibility. So, in other words, if we're faced with restriction or resistance from outside or from inside, that it not shut us down for long, that we are able to sort of meet that in a really loving and kind and generous way in our own work on the inside, and then so that we can pick ourselves back up and get right back to the task. And this is easier said than done, and it does take time, right? So I think that something that can be really powerful as a metaphor, if you want to think of it that way, or a way of looking at it, as think of yourself as a soul that when you were born was given a human to care for. That it's not that your body received a soul, but that you were a soul that received a body. And that your task as a soul, as an old soul perhaps, as an ancient soul maybe even, was to care for, love, safeguard, and protect, nurture, and grow this human inside of you. That the human is in fact smaller than you. You're bigger as a soul than this human body, right? And you can even think of this in terms of aura, that our aura transcends our body. It's outside of us. It can constrict and it can also stretch outside. So you contain a body You were assigned this body at birth. And so, in many ways, you actually do have a little human baby that you're meant to care for. This is why inner child work is so powerful to me, because the metaphor is so powerful that we were given a human to care for when we came here. And that human is you. You're meant to care for you in a really profound and powerful way. So, keeping that in mind, I want to tell a tale of three babies and use this to sort of um, provide a framework for understanding how to care for your human. Okay. In this tale of two babies, consider let's think of this as toddler instead of babies, just a little older. Um, Pretend that in your mind, envision that these kids are at a park, and their moms or dads are seated in um, what are those called, benches around the play area, right? And for one of the toddlers, they are playing, and they look over their shoulder. They get a little nervous, which toddlers do. They look over their shoulder, they see their parent, and they immediately feel soothed just by seeing the presence of the parent. And even if that eye contact wasn't enough to soothe, they might go over, receive a little bit of contact with the parent, and then go right back to their play. This is a very known phenomena that happens with toddlers, where they'll check in either visually or physically and receive confirmation that all is fine, and then they go back to their play. Now consider toddler number two. Toddler number two also feels a little bit of like uncertainty or anxiousness in their environment, and looks over their shoulder and does not receive that confirmation that all is well. So they go to their parent and they seek additional signs through contact that all is well. And nothing that their parent does is reassuring enough to the child. So the child anxiously pursues more and more confirmation, maybe starts crying, maybe is unconsolable, right? Okay, that's toddler number two. Toddler number three also gets anxious in their environment for whatever reason, or uncertain, and they don't even look to the parent. Okay, so what you see here are, from an attachment perspective, three, just to really simplify, because there are more than three categories of attachment, but just to really boil it down, three different attachment styles. One, the first one, that is secure, that with even just eye contact, sometimes they have enough of a sense of security in that relationship that they know, oh, there's my parent, they have my back, I'm good, I can continue exploring. And they go back to their exploration, their play, which for kids is their work. For kids, work is play, okay? For us too, in many ways. Child number two is more representative of an anxious attachment style, that they can't quite get that safety reassurance from the visual cues, and even the physical cues don't quite satisfy. And it's because there's a history in the relationship where they know that there's uncertainty around whether their parent can really show up for them and help them navigate a blip in the nervous system. That dance between the two has been irregular, and so there's some sense that I don't know, I can't be reassured really, and so I'm seeking more and more and more reassurance, and I can't get the hit of satisfaction that would come from security in our dynamic enough to soothe me. So soothing is challenging. And then for the third child, being more representative of an avoidance style, where they've learned to not even seek the reassurance because they've had enough experiences with that parent-child dynamic that has told them it's not an effective source to receive soothing. Okay? And so ideally, obviously, number one, the secure attachment dynamic is what we want to experience as kids. And please understand, it's very normal for it not to be, okay? So please don't internalize this as like, oh no, what does this mean for me if I don't have that secure dynamic, if I didn't have that? It's okay. It's okay. It's actually really common. These are just different ways that we experience life early on. And it's why we're all on some sort of healing journey, right? And to some degree, these categories are not as finite as we'd like to pretend they are. They are very, we move fluidly sometimes between categories. So I'm oversimplifying, okay? But when you think about the fact that as a soul you received a human, it applies in that case too. So in your relationship between you and you, between you at a soul level and you're in your deepest center of yourself, what I'm going to call now your inner parent self, your human may or may not have a solid relationship with you, may or may not feel really easily soothed by you. And so part of the healing journey is to figure out where you're at with that and starting to heal that. And that's what reparenting work is. Okay. I talked a little bit about this in another video. I might link it at the end, or, put a little pop-up at the end, so that you can click on that if you want. But I mention all of this because stepping fully into your calling is soul work. And it's soul work that's done through your human, right? And so it really does require deep partnership between human and soul. And if we don't feel safe in that dynamic, in that partnership, in that relationship, we will really second guess what we're doing, and we will really struggle to soothe our fears on the inside. And so this work does very deeply require us, in order to step into our calling, us to do this work to reassure our human nervous system that we are safe, that we are truly safe if we step forward fully in this way. And I want to talk in a separate video about different ways that we can do that, different ways that we can hear our nervous system, hear our human and its fears and concerns, and pay close attention to it, and really structure our lives in a way that sends a message of deep responsiveness to our human needs, so that we can build a really strong scaffolding underneath us to support the growth that is going to be required in order to step into our calling. If we try to bypass this part, we certainly can take steps into our calling. But what will happen, and I can attest to this personally, is that our steps are going to be like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It's going to be really challenging, and it's going to be really taxing on the body. It's going to be really painful. It's not going to feel like something that is sustainable, because it will feel so draining, because we're working through so much fear response all the time. But the thing is, with that first toddler, remember, all they needed was a glance at their parent to reassure them, oh, I'm good. And so when you do this work often enough, what you'll find is that you will get quicker and quicker, which is where nervous system flexibility comes in. You'll get quicker and quicker at self-soothing and resetting and being okay, so that something that hits you in a way that is destabilizing is not destabilizing for long. It is like you check in with yourself, you get grounded, and you're good again. You can't skip the part where you check in. Okay, so that kid looking at their parent was an important step. It is still important to check inward and to say, am I good? And then for you to be able to meet your human there and say, you are good, you're good. But I see you, I see that was scary, and I got you. And if you need to tell me more about that, I'm here to listen, and I will take steps to help you. So that tends to build trust over time. And it's that deep trust that's grown that's what fosters a glance being so powerful, because that toddler in that example knows that, without a doubt, that it is safe once it receives confirmation from its parent that it is safe. It doesn't question it. It knows. And the reason it knows is because there's been consistent stable messages sent, and followed by action and real like prioritization that has built so much security over time that that kid doesn't even have to question its safety once it receives that confirmation. That's what you want to build on the inside, and that is how you rewire your attachment. Okay, so killing two birds with one stone, you are doing tremendous work in your healing while also taking powerful steps forward in making the contribution that you came here to make as a soul, which is like nothing bigger than that to me, right? That's amazing. And so this is super, super, super duper important. And I hope that you'll join me on the ride as we talk a little bit more about this and what this means. And yeah, I hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you again soon.